The first thing they did was reach inside the nose, not with their fingers, with a metal hook, long, thin copper, pushed up through the nostril, past the nasal cavity, through a paper-thin sheet of bone and into the skull. Then they stirred. The brain doesn't come out in one piece. It can't, so they broke it down, liquefied it, tilted the head forward, and waited while it drained out through the nostrils into a bowl below. This wasn't an execution. It wasn't a punishment. This was love. This was the most sacred act a human being could perform for another in ancient Egypt, the ritual that made eternal life possible. And the brain was just the beginning. Before we walk through what happened to the body, we need to talk about who was doing this, because that answer changes everything. The embalmers of ancient Egypt had a name, the Wabet, and they worked in a place called the Ibu, which translates roughly as the place of purification. The Ibu wasn't inside the city. It was at the desert's edge, deliberately separated from the living because the work happening inside it wasn't meant for the living to see. The head embalmer wore a mask, not a surgical mask, a jackal mask, the face of Anubis, god of the dead. Because once he stepped inside that space, he stopped being a man. In the logic of the ritual, he became a god. Every cut he made, every organ he removed, every spell he spoke, that was Anubis working, not a human being. This is the thing most people fundamentally misunderstand about mummification. It was never a medical procedure, not even close. It was a religious one. Every single step, the incisions, the organ placement, the drying, the wrapping, all of it corresponded to something the Egyptians believed the soul needed to survive in the world after death. There was no separating the science from the faith. They were the same thing. The Wabet weren't surgeons. They were priests who happened to work with the dead. And they didn't work alone. The process was divided. One team handled the initial preparation, another performed the organ removal, another handled the wrapping, a fourth team recited the ritual texts throughout, each group essential, none interchangeable, a sacred production line, all of it aimed at one outcome, eternal life. The moment a body arrived at the Ibu, they moved fast. Egypt is hot. In that climate, decomposition doesn't wait for ceremony. Within hours, the process begins. The embalmers had no ice, no refrigeration, no way to slow biology down except one, salt. Specifically, a salt called natron, a naturally occurring compound found in dried lake beds across Egypt, parts sodium carbonate, parts sodium bicarbonate. The Egyptians had been using it for centuries. They knew exactly what it did. But before the natron came anything else, the body was washed. Nile water first, then palm wine. Not for symbolism, palm wine has mild antiseptic properties. It slowed bacterial growth, bought time. Then came the first cut, on the left side of the abdomen, approximately 10 centimeters long, made with a blade of obsidian, volcanic glass, chosen not just for its sharpness, but because it was considered purer than copper or bronze. Through that single opening, 4 organs had to come out: the stomach, the intestines, the liver, the lungs. Each one removed by hand through a 10-centimeter gap, each one washed in natron solution, wrapped in linen, and placed into its own sealed container. 4 gods, 4 organs, each pairing deliberate, each one rooted in a specific branch of Egyptian theology. Nothing was thrown away, nothing discarded, because in the Egyptian understanding of the afterlife, the body would need all of these things again, every single one. But compared to what came next, the organ removal was almost straightforward. The brain was a different problem. You can reach the abdominal organs through an incision. The brain is sealed inside a bone box with no practical opening. The eye sockets, the ear canals, the natural gaps at the base of the skull, none of them are large enough, not even close. And cutting the skull open wasn't an option. So they went through the nose. The hook entered the nostril, traveled up through the nasal cavity, and pushed through the thin sheet of bone that separates that cavity from the brain. Once inside the skull, it rotated. The brain has the consistency of firm tofu. It doesn't hold its shape under mechanical force. It breaks down. When it was fluid enough, they tilted the head forward. It drained out. Sometimes this took multiple insertions. Sometimes a flat copper spatula was used to scrape the inner walls of the skull clean. When the cavity was as empty as they could get it, they rinsed it with palm wine, then packed it with linen soaked in resin to hold the shape of the head from the inside. And then, in a detail that surprises almost everyone who hears it for the first time, they threw the brain away. The brain wasn't where thinking happened. It wasn't where memory lived. It wasn't the seat of personality. That was somewhere else entirely. The heart was never touched. While every other major organ was removed, wrapped, and stored, the heart stayed in the body, always, without exception. Because in Egyptian belief, the heart was the person, not just a part of them, the whole of them. Everything you were, your intelligence, your memories, your personality, your capacity for love and for cruelty, lived in the heart. Removing it would be like erasing the person you were trying to preserve, because in the afterlife, the heart would be called as a witness. On one side of the room, a set of scales. On one pan of those scales, the heart. On the other, a single feather, the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth, balance, and justice. If the heart weighed less than the feather, the soul passed through, into the field of reeds, into paradise. If the heart was heavier, weighed down by lies, cruelty, selfishness, something was waiting beside the scale. A creature called Amit, part lion, part hippopotamus, part crocodile, built from the three most dangerous animals the Egyptians knew. Amit ate the heart, and that wasn't death. Death, in Egyptian belief, could be survived. What Amit delivered was obliteration, the complete erasure of a person's existence. No afterlife, no memory, nothing. This is why Egyptians were buried with amulets called heart scarabs, placed directly over the heart, inscribed with a spell from the Book of the Dead. The spell asked the heart, quietly and desperately, not to testify against its owner when the moment came. The heart knew everything a person had ever done, and in the afterlife, it would be asked to speak. With the organs removed and the skull emptied, what remained was a hollow body that still had the capacity to rot. The solution was simple and brutal. The embalmers packed the body cavity with linen bags filled with natron. Then they covered the entire exterior, every surface, with more natron, buried the body in it, surrounded it completely, and walked away for 70 days. The number wasn't chosen randomly. 70 days is the exact period during which the star Sirius, the brightest star in the Egyptian sky and the most important in their entire astronomical calendar, disappears below the horizon before rising again. The mummification period deliberately mirrored the star's absence and return. The body disappeared into the salt, and, like Sirius, it was supposed to come back. What natron actually does chemically is draw moisture out of organic tissue. Every cell in the human body contains water. Natron extracts it, and without moisture, the bacteria that cause decomposition cannot function. After 70 days, the natron was cleared away. What was underneath didn't look like what had arrived. The tissue was dark, deep brown, sometimes black. The skin had pulled tight, leathery. Features were there. The shape of the face, the lines of the hands, still recognizable after more than 2 months buried in salt. And because there was no water left in the tissue, nothing could touch it. 3,000 years later, scientists using modern imaging equipment can still read the faces of people who died before the Roman Empire existed. The linen wasn't decorative. People assumed it was, some kind of ancient bandaging done for appearance. It wasn't. It was structural, protective, and woven through with ritual at every layer. A single mummy could require up to 400 meters of linen in total, each limb wrapped individually, fingers first, then hands, then arms, not because it looked neat, because each section needed its own structural integrity before the next layer went over it. Between the wrappings, the embalmers placed amulets, specific objects at specific locations, each chosen for a specific protective property. An ankh for life, a jed pillar for stability and resurrection, an eye of Horus over the body cavity to guard the organs that had been returned inside. As the final layers went on, a priest stood nearby reading from the Book of the Dead. Not background noise, the reading was part of the procedure. The words being spoken aloud activated the protective properties of each amulet as it was sealed in. The face was last. That moment, linen going over the face, was the completion of everything. The body had been emptied, dried, filled with protective objects, and sealed. The person inside was no longer the dead. They were something else, preserved, waiting. Here's what most people don't know about mummification. The Egyptians didn't invent it. They found it. In the desert, before any of this ritual existed, bodies buried in shallow graves were naturally preserved by the dry heat of the sand. When Egyptians, centuries later, uncovered those graves, they found something that shouldn't have been possible. The faces of people who had been dead for generations, still intact, still recognizable. That discovery didn't horrify them, it fascinated them, and it raised a question they spent the next 3,000 years trying to answer. If the desert can do this, what could we do? The early attempts failed. The techniques were crude, the results were poor, but they kept refining. Generation after generation, the Wabat passed their knowledge forward, improved what didn't work, preserved what did. The ritual grew more elaborate, the chemistry grew more precise, the theology grew more detailed, until they built an entire civilization around one idea, that death was not the end, that the body could be kept, that if you preserved it carefully enough, if you removed everything that would rot, replaced it with things that wouldn't, protected every layer with the right words and the right objects in the right order, the soul could find its way back. The anhuk, the natron, the canopic jars, the weighing of the heart, strange by every standard we have today, completely coherent by every standard they had then, and effective enough that 3,000 years later, we're still opening their tombs and finding them waiting.